Hello, friends. Today we will take a fresh look at the topic of relationships, but from a somewhat non-standard point of view. What if I told you that there is a philosophy that can change your view of love and relationships? Yes, it's not about the standard dating rules or the secrets of successful dates. Today we're going to talk about Stoicism and why maybe you shouldn't chase women. Are you ready for discoveries? Let's get started. Dependence on external factors. Stoicism, as a philosophy of life, emphasizes the importance of developing internal stability and independence from the variability of the external world. In search of constant attention and approval from women, a person can become vulnerable to the influence of external circumstances on their emotional stability. Instead of striving for inner harmony and self-knowledge, such a person often focuses on the variability of other people's feelings and relationships. Stoicism insists that true happiness and satisfaction must come from internal sources that are not subject to the fluctuations of the outside world. Constant dependence on external factors, such as success in relationships, can create lability in the emotional state and, ultimately, lead to mental difficulties. Stoicism teaches us to manage our reactions to external events and maintain inner resilience regardless of what is happening around us. In the context of constant persecution of women, liberation from dependence on external factors can lead to more stable and harmonious relationships with oneself and others. Dependence on external factors in the context of a relationship can manifest itself not only in the desire for constant attention and approval from a partner, but also in the broader context of external circumstances affecting one's own sense of satisfaction and happiness. Often, people who suffer from dependence on external factors in a relationship tend to avoid problems and failures, solely because they are afraid of losing external support and approval. This can lead to avoiding conflicts, even if they are unavoidable for the health of the relationship. In addition, such dependence can affect self-esteem. When a person is overly dependent on external factors to support their well-being, they may question their worth and dignity in the event of failures or unsatisfactory results in a relationship. An interesting aspect is also the influence of social standards and expectations on the formation of dependence on external factors. Social pressure and stereotypes can sometimes dictate certain behaviors in relationships, which increases the desire to meet these standards, even if this leads to a lack of autonomy and individuality. In the context of Stoicism, it is important to realize that true stability and happiness come from internal sources. Developing the ability to manage your emotions and not depend solely on external factors can lead to deeper and more stable relationships based on inner harmony and mutual understanding. Lack of control over emotions. Lack of emotional control in the context of constant harassment of women can have serious consequences for emotional well-being. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of developing the ability to manage one's reactions to external events, including in the field of relationships. When a person does not control his emotions, he becomes more vulnerable to the influence of external events and the actions of other people. In the case of constant harassment of women, strong emotions such as passion, lust, or even envy can overshadow rational thinking and lead to decisions based on instant impressions. Emotional instability can also lead to overreaction to rejection or relationship failures. Instead of accepting difficulties as an inevitable part of life, a person who does not control his emotions can sink into deep stress and even depression, which negatively affects his overall well-being. Stoicism calls for the development of the ability to view external events from a philosophical point of view and remain calm even in the face of difficulties. In the context of relationships, this means that a person following the principles of Stoicism strives to ensure that emotions do not dominate the mind and reactions to events are conscious and balanced. By developing control over emotions, a person is able to overcome various challenges in relationships with wisdom and calmness, which contributes to a healthier and more harmonious lifestyle. The lack of control over emotions in the context of a relationship can also lead to unsatisfactory interpersonal results and affect a person's overall psychological stability. One of the interesting aspects of this problem is the effect that uncontrollable emotions can have on communication. When a person is influenced by emotions, their ability to communicate clearly and effectively can be impaired. This can lead to misunderstandings, conflicts, and even aggravation of the situation. In addition, a lack of control over emotions can create a cycle of negative interactions in a relationship. For example, if a person reacts to situations with anger or irritation without sufficient self-regulation, this can cause similar emotional reactions in a partner. Thus, there is an interdependent cycle that can exacerbate problems. An important point is also the impact of uncontrollable emotions on decision-making. When a person gives emotions power over their thinking, they can make hasty or thoughtless decisions that do not correspond to their true goals and values in a relationship. Striving to control emotions within the framework of Stoicism also implies the ability to accept the imperfection and unpredictability of life. This does not mean the suppression of emotions, but on the contrary, their conscious perception and constructive use in the development of one's own emotional intelligence and in relationships with others. Disappointment and loss. The relationship between disappointments, losses, and uncontrollable emotions can lead to difficult consequences in the field of relationships. Often, a person who is unable to effectively manage his emotions imagines a relationship in a rosy light, creating high expectations from a partner and future events. When reality does not correspond to these idealized ideas, feelings of disappointment arise. For example, if a person is constantly pursuing the idea of ideal love, he may find it difficult to adapt to the inevitable shortcomings and difficulties in a relationship. Frustration can also arise from failures and losses in a relationship, such as breakups or unpleasant surprises. In such situations, uncontrolled emotions can lead to deep suffering and even psychological trauma. Within the framework of Stoicism, such situations are considered from a philosophical point of view. Managing emotions and accepting the inevitable helps a person perceive disappointments as temporary and relative phenomena without undermining his inner stability. It also helps to focus on what a person can control: their own attitude to events and the way they adapt to them. Disappointments can serve as moments of deep self-discovery. During difficult periods in a relationship, a person can discover new aspects of their personality, their expectations and fears. This can be a valuable experience, allowing you to better understand yourself and your needs. The process of dealing with relationship losses can allocate a person's internal resources and strength. Stoicism teaches you to accept difficulties as a part of life and see them as an opportunity for growth. The process of accepting losses and moving forward can strengthen internal resilience. Disappointments and losses can force a person to rethink their values and priorities in a relationship. In the context of Stoicism, this can lead to an in-depth understanding of what is really important to him and what values he is ready to defend in his life. Every experience of disappointment can serve as a lesson for future relationships. Understanding what went wrong helps to develop wisdom in making decisions and forming healthier views on relationships in the future. The process of dealing with disappointments requires a person to develop emotional intelligence. Being aware of and managing your emotions in difficult situations is becoming a key skill for building healthy and sustainable relationships. Loss of personal integrity. The constant pursuit of satisfying external expectations can lead to a person becoming too adaptive, losing their uniqueness and personal identity. This loss of identity is often accompanied by dependence on relationships as the main source of happiness. In this context, there are no clear boundaries in the relationship, and a person may have difficulty expressing their needs and desires. Without clear personal boundaries, it becomes difficult to maintain independence and the ability to exist independently. A person deprived of personal integrity also risks losing his own goals and ambitions, forgetting about his own aspirations and hobbies. This can become an obstacle to his personal growth and self-realization. The lack of one's own goals can also undermine stability and self-esteem, making it too dependent on external factors and emotionally unstable. Within the framework of Stoicism, it is important to find a balance between striving for relationships and preserving one's own personal integrity. A person must remain true to himself, respect his boundaries, and develop as a person within the framework of a relationship, while maintaining his independence and uniqueness. When personal integrity is at risk, there is a danger of becoming too dependent on external factors, especially how one is perceived in a relationship. Such dependence can lead to instability in self-esteem, as a person becomes more vulnerable to changes in the emotional atmosphere of a relationship. For example, changes in a partner's mood or some external circumstances can greatly affect their well-being. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of self-esteem being based on internal values and principles that are not subject to external influences. In addition, loss of personal integrity can manifest itself in the inability to establish and maintain healthy boundaries in a relationship. A person may feel the need to constantly adjust to their partner's expectations, even if it contradicts their own beliefs and desires. Such difficulties with boundaries can lead to misunderstandings, conflicts, and even loss of individuality in a relationship. It is important to understand that maintaining personal integrity in a relationship does not mean giving up compromises or cooperation. On the contrary, it means that a person can cooperate and interact while maintaining their uniqueness, values, and self-determination. Instability in the relationship. Instability in a relationship, especially in the context of a constant desire to gain female attention, can lead to interesting dynamics in interpersonal relationships. The lack of stability can manifest itself in constant fluctuations in the emotional atmosphere of a relationship. A person who does not have resilience may be influenced by various external factors, which creates instability in his interaction with a partner. Emotional swings and the inability to control your feelings can complicate communication and create uncertainty in a relationship. In addition, instability can lead to a person becoming more susceptible to the influence of external factors on their self-confidence and in relationships. For example, negative comments or even hints of possible problems can cause worries, which in turn increases instability in the relationship. An important aspect is also the impact of instability on the ability to make decisions in a relationship. A person prone to emotional fluctuations may make hasty or rash decisions under the influence of current emotional states. This can create difficulties in managing conflicts and solving problems in relationships. Within the framework of Stoicism, stability in relationships is associated with the development of internal stability and the ability to maintain emotional balance regardless of external circumstances. Developing these skills can contribute to a more stable and harmonious relationship based on inner resilience and wise emotional management. Let's imagine a situation in which a person who is unstable in a relationship reacts to changes in the emotional atmosphere of their relationship. Let's say he has a partner and they've been dating for a while. One day, a partner makes a comment in expressing his feelings that may be misunderstood. It can be something innocent, for example, a joke or a remark, but because of the instability in the relationship, a person begins to worry and doubt partner intentions. Instead of discussing what happened and clarifying the situation, an unstable person may start to worry and create scenarios in their mind. Emotional fluctuations within him can lead to nervousness, anxiety, and even suspicions about the true intentions of the partner. He may begin to perceive the comment as criticism or a manifestation of disinterest, which causes emotional instability. Such a person may decide not to communicate with a partner and withdraw into himself, trying to cope with his emotions on his own. Or, on the contrary, he may react excessively emotionally, expressing his worries and doubts without due care. This creates tension in the relationship, as the partner may be confused by such a reaction and not understand what caused such strong emotional reactions. As a result, instability in a relationship can lead to a person making unreasonable decisions, for example, concluding that the relationship is under threat, even if there is none. This demonstrates how the inability to control your emotions can affect perception and dynamics in a real relationship.